G'day viewers. Well, unfortunately this TV's been damaged, but I did manage to keep the as much as I could out of it. I just picked up everything. This is AWA Thorn, aka Mitsubishi, late mid 1970s era TV. Same as the one I've got in there, but this must be a this was a commercial one. It's got an asset sticker and everything on it. All the two headphone plugs, automatic frequency, automatic fine tuning, everything on it. It's even had a BNC AV inputs, monitor inputs. Domestic, ordinary household TVs never had these. They just had the RF modulator, the antenna inputs, and that's it. TVs for shops, CCTVs, businesses, commercial use had these fittings on them. You got your BNC, your video, a loop, video tape recorder, monitor, which is what this is, and normal for your ordinary TV. Audio in. Very, it's a shame it's been destroyed because would have been a nice TV, even used as a bloody as a monitor. So yeah, if you find a vintage TV with these style of connectors on it, it's from a business, so a commercial. It was a commercial, not a domestic TV, so this wasn't made for the domestic market. If it's got one of these little plugs in the back and BNCs. There's that nice little flyback. It's a 40 kV rated cable on this one. Yeah, the tube was broken. I've got some nice resistors on there. The socket's undamaged. I could reuse that. This is the signal board that processes a BNC and the monitor input. This switch is actually quite heavy duty too. That's pretty cool. This is the actual AV input board. Looks like it's a homemade job back then. Very well made stuff. Nice capacitors. This in here is a 470 microfarad, 180 volts, 10 ohm resistor, 10 kilo ohm actually, 10 watt to 70 ohm. It's actually a 10 ohm actually. This Flyback, I think it's it'd be a genuine Mitsubishi Flyback. Very nice sized Flyback. 150 ohm resistor. CRT bias. Interesting. And focus. The delay line there, the old glass type. And there they're what drives the I think they drive your vertical deflection, deflection. They're your deflection transistors that amplify the yoke. Some fuses, all sorts of goodies on here. VSI electrolytic capacitor, it's snapped off there. Yeah, the solder's bad. Mitsubishi was prone to bad solder. I might test these. If they test bad, they're going to be good to pop because they've invented VSI. That's a Panasonic capacitor. There you go, integrated circuit. That probably does all the drives the CRT and drives everything. And the audio amplifier, I think it's this one. This might be it here. Got a nice style speaker in it too. Mitsubishi Diatone. 8 ohms, 3 watt, Japan. I might keep that for an old valve radio part. Very interesting looking speaker design. Yeah, I like how they use unused double-sided tape on the bracket. Interesting. It's got this little device here which is your headphone input. I'll keep that. Leave that intact. Keep all that. This potentiometer slider, the power switch. That's okay. I've got the variable condenser, like an old valve radio, so that's inside there. Got 2 plates. Made by AWA or something. Alps, I think it said. Alps. In a fancy font. And this is the rotary switch mechanism. These are quite cool how these work. You could reuse those to switch tuning an antenna or something. But yeah, it's basically an AWA Thorn, which is made by Mitsubishi. Nowadays, AWA TVs are made by a generic Chinese manufacturer. Let's start salvaging some goodies. I did keep the power transformer too. Slightly damaged, but the cabinet was all smashed up, so the CRT was dropped. It was dropped on its back, and yeah, unfortunately it's been out in the weather for months, so that can be fixed. I can just put some tape around that, stick that down. That's 105 volts there. So let's put that back up through there. Re-tuck that back and re-glue that. I've got a 105 volt tap. The input went here through two fuses, but the actual primary connections here are intact, so I can still use it. 240 volt in, 16 volt and 12 volt. Very handy, these little transformers. So I really use that, and even got the power cord. Cable Makers Australia. 7.5 250 volt. Obviously the earth, which was earthed through the chassis of the TV, because some old TVs from this era use a live chassis, so they were earthed. Usually a good TV, the ones that have these linear style power supply set up in them. So I'll get the wood off that and I'll repair this, stick that back in there and glue that back down. Maybe a good little transformer for all sorts of projects. I also found another one. This is out of a generic AWA rebrand music centre, kind of like this, but it stood this high. It was all generic inside, so it wasn't any good. It used an STK based audio amplifier, had cassette decks and a cheap nasty record player turntable. This is the only part that was actually worth having or keeping. So I think it's got 12 volt, and I think this might be 15 or something like that around there on this tap. So another good one for projects. Relatively good size too. I should get a couple of amps out of this. This would be good to run my little amplifier, even a car radio off the mains without a noisy switch mode power supply that keeps bloody messing up the AM band all the time. Yeah, it's got this coloured phosphor too. These are the early black matrix TVs. Panasonic or National Quintrix. Quintrix met a black matrix picture. They had this similar coloured phosphor. So these are the first of the black phosphor type TVs which had better black. That's all mojo that came out. Just having a close look at this electron gun here. And those guns look like they've had a they've been worn out. So yeah, you can see lots of metal migration on there. Your 3 electron guns. So if even this was working, if this was still intact, the CRT would have been worn. Because my other AWA I got in there, it's got a pretty badly worn CRT. There's a lot of bleeding, so it's usually the cathodes that wear in here. You can see this has had a lot of use on it. A high hour set. The colour of that. Had a lot of use. Still would have been a nice TV there if it was intact. And there's that nice flyback. Alright, let's clean this up. It's got a Kyocera, that must be like a crystal. Alright, let's clean this circuit board up and we can start salvaging off the rest of the goodies. I like what I did with the flyback. It clamps around the ferrite and that bolts it to the chassis. So despite the quality of this TV, this would have been a bloody nice TV, but I can remember my grandfather had a TV quite similar to this, a slightly later model. It didn't have the AV input, so because it was a domestic household one. I can remember the picture used to disappear altogether. The sound was staying, but the picture would just go black. I used to tap the side of the TV and the picture would come back on. And that's the result of Mitsubishi's poor soldering technique. They were really bad back then at soldering. All the flux residue they left behind, or dry joints. It would lose picture altogether, so probably something on the neck board or around the flyback was probably losing power. It would tap it, the TV would come back, picture would come back on. It wouldn't fade on, but it would come straight back on straight away, so maybe where it was getting the signal, the picture signal, part of the board is a bad joint. What are memories. Nice setup though, I'm definitely going to keep these though. That one there is probably the drives the flyback, and this Toshiba is probably the horizontal out. So yeah, horizontal out as this one. This is probably the this is in the power supply circuit here, where the main power goes in from the transformer. So this is the actual transistor that drives the Flyback. STR371 by Sandcan. This is your horizontal output. Caution, high voltage. Nice long lead too. Alright, let's remove this Flyback. It's quite a small one. Okay, I got the Flyback off. I like Mitsubishi's technique of securing it. That just twists on and solders onto the board. There's a nice Flyback. It's the same height, size-wise, height-wise, and the ferrite. It's the same as the one that's in that one. The overall roundness is not quite as big. So the one in there has probably got a lot more turns on it than this one. So this is probably a special purpose, as this had a monitor input, so it's a type of Flyback it's got. You can get relatively thick windings in there. I'm going to keep that with the original transistors on that heatsink and leave this as it is. Shouldn't be too hard to rig this back into the circuit as to drive that Flyback. It's got a 2 kV MOV there too. So one day if I can get any time, I should be able to make use those original transistors on that original heatsink to drive that original Flyback. I'll put that aside for now. Attempt the salvage parts of that another day. Got the interesting parts off of that, like the delay line. There's a very interesting devices these. But Dave at EEV Block did a detailed teardown of one of these. Basically what it is, he shows in the video anyway, you got a set of dots. A signal is sent down, bounces around, and the time it takes to get from one place to the other is the delay between the yeah, it's like a kind of like a quartz timing something. So it's used to on PAL TV, so to get the sound to match the picture. Very cool those. It's obviously made by Asahi glass because it's a glass substrate with etching on it. Yeah, look up how delay lines work on EEV Block. The Mike's electric stuff also did a video on one of these. Delay line memory, using these to store some data, like a memory card. Managed to repair this a bit, so I'm going to remove that circuit board. The fuses would have been useful, but unfortunately the board's broken, so I can reuse that, and yeah, I can get a good 18 volts off that unloaded. Rectified, unloaded, I get 18 volts, so that can run my the Pi amp real nicely without distortion. So keep that for a car radio power supply. Very nice, and lots of goodies. Okay, viewers, that'd be enough for now. Time to clean up the mess. Unplug safety first.